All right, y'all. So this video I almost didn't want to do because I don't want to add to the negative noise, but I found an angle in which we could have a very open discussion about some underlying issues. So y'all know I've been going up for the new show Pose on FX. Y'all, the show is phenomenal. Like, it is just one of the most awesome shows out there. Now, I'll be the first person to admit, sure, there may be some bias there because the show speaks to me directly. But independent of me being able to relate head on with most things in the show, it is a really good show. Just like Scandal, when Empire first came out, it is of that caliber. As far as I'm concerned, the writing and the storytelling is far much deeper, than those. And artistically, it's a better show. But the ratings are not reflecting how good the show is. Plainly put, the show isn't performing as well as it could be. And so, you know, me, when I went to Florida State University and got my degree in economics, them people taught me everything about numbers, statistics, and what the numbers empirically say. On the front end of ratings, one can draw the conclusion that ratings low equals people aren't interested. Point blank, period. And in short, and on a very superficial level, that is what the numbers say. But when you dig a little deeper and you dig into the factors that play into the numbers, a different story is being told, or there's something different there. Now, I've seen a lot of people's discussion on Facebook and whatnot, and they say, well, the first thing is the show is on FX. I don't think the show being on FX has anything to do with anything. American Horror Story is on FX, same director, Ryan Murphy, and it performs extremely well. Nip Tuck performs extremely well. FX has quite a few shows that perform extremely well over on FX. So that's not the argument. Some people argue marketing, that the show was not marketed as well as some other shows. I don't know. I'm Pose's target demo, I'm sure. And so I got all the marketing materials, but I might have received them because I occupy spaces in which they spent advertising dollars. I don't know if, you know, the soccer mom in Wisconsin got the marketing, and I don't know if on other shows that they spend money marketing to those people as well. So I can't speak on that argument. But I'll go ahead and make an allowance for, you know, not so good marketing. I'll give a small allowance to that. Although, you know, Pose, in my opinion, did all the typical press junkets that a lot of other shows do when they're new. I mean, I saw the Wendy Williams and some of the other interviews with the Janet Mocks, so on and so forth. I mean, a larger story and a larger truth is we know that gay is still, although it's getting much more accepted and it's getting more commercial and mainstream, it is still taboo in a large part of American households. A lot of people don't accept it, but they tolerate it. So I think that's a large part of it. But digging even deeper, I think one issue is this. The greater white gay community isn't interested. And I mean, Pose is not just a black gay story, a Hispanic gay story. When you're talking the 80s, the 70s, the AIDS epidemic, when you talk about just being accepted, being homosexual, what that meant during that time, the contributions that the gay community has made to music, That's not a person of color story. It's a gay story, and moreover, it's an American story. There are a lot of families, heterosexual, saved, sanctified, and full of the Holy Spirit, that were directly impacted by the AIDS epidemic. And this story talks to those people as well. It gives them the front end of situations that they as a family had to deal with on the back end. Many times, by the time your family member got to you, they were sick and on their way out of here. But it would seem to me that these families and these people who were directly or indirectly affected by the AIDS epidemic would be curious to know the stories, the struggles leading up to something that impacted their family in such a large way. So, you know, I'll give a small allowance to the general white gay community as a whole isn't interested. And the reason I say that is because we commercialize and sensationalize things like RuPaul's Drag Race, so on and so forth, put those on VH1, and those shows are performing very well, and the white queens go up. There are shows, you know, on Logo that the white queens go up for. So why isn't that same force being pushed behind Pose? At the end of the day, you can't make somebody interested in something that they're legitimately not interested in. Just like if somebody was to put a show on air about, you know, Jewish boys coming of age story, having their bar mitzvahs, I probably would not tune in because I'm just not interested. Despite the fact that there may be a lot of parallels in their story and mine, it would really take a lot of coaxing and convincing to get me to sit down and watch the show for it to hook me in. So I'm not mad with those that don't watch because they are not legitimately interested. I'm more interested in discussing the reasons people are not interested or are not watching that are rooted in homophobia. That's kind of where I'm going with this whole thing, especially in the person of color community, people of color community. You know, it makes me ask the question, you know, people lie, numbers don't. It makes me ask the question, is the people of color gay community subset not a large enough community to garner the type of ratings that make the type of dollars that keep networks happy, that will keep our stories on TV? And I don't have a determination, yes or no. It's just a question. I'm looking at the numbers and I'm trying to look at them objectively, and I'm wondering, you know, are we not large enough of a population to get the numbers? Let's just say people of color are the only ones interested in Pose. Gay people of color are the only ones. Are we not a large enough voting bloc to matter when it comes to television garnering ratings and ultimately advertising dollars in big budget movies and shows? I don't know. I would like to think that we are. I would like to hope that we are, but I'm just basing this inquiry off the numbers. But here is the bigger thing that I want to, well, before I get into the larger argument, here's one thing I want to point out to you guys about television. You guys, network executives and the big wigs in Hollywood, they don't give a fuck about quality content. They don't give a fuck about stories being told. They don't give a fuck about underserved populations being represented. They don't give a fuck about authentic quality content. They care about ROI, return on investment. If we give you $20 million to make this show or this movie, will you bring us back $300 million? And if the answer is yes, and you can sustain it and do it continuously, we will allow you to make a show about spreading peanut butter on day-old bread. You see what I'm saying? That's the way television works. And I'm not even mad. It's a business. The people who are concerned about the quality of the content are the artists and the creators, the directors. Those people are the ones that care about the quality of the content. But the quality of the content has to align with the money to line the pockets of the Hollywood folks to keep these types of stories and whatnot going. So, you know, that's a whole nother conversation we'll have. But here's what it brought me to. it brought me to the black community, you know, and the Hispanic community as a whole, as it relates to their overarching and overall opinions, thoughts, and ideas about homosexuality. I find it so odd that the black community and the person of color community is just so comfortable with distancing themselves from the gay community. And sometimes as gay people, it's a slap in our face when we are expected to rally behind black causes, Hispanic causes, that for the most part don't affect us, but because we're black, Hispanic, a person of color, it's expected in our community that we rally behind this cause or we'll lose our black card. But the same is not reciprocated. I get that the gay story is not everybody's story. I get that there are some people who are so caught up in their own homophobia and how they were raised that they're repulsed by the lifestyle and anything that has to do with it. I don't think that that's the bulk of the herd, though. And it just bothers me because I read a Facebook post the other day after the passing of XXX Tentacion, or however you say it. And this guy was an outright homophobe. He outright did not like gay people and said that he beat the shit out of a gay person within inches of their lives for staring at him too long. These are words this boy said. And the person on Facebook said, basically, I don't give a fuck that he died. The black community, y'all want me to now rally behind this motherfucker and talk about rest in peace, this, that, and the third, and oh, this was somebody's son and he was a good kid in the next Tupac, when he was an outright fucking homophobe that hated gay people. Fuck him and fuck y'all. And I was like, damn, that's kind of harsh. Somebody did just die. That's somebody's child. But I'm not gonna lie to you. It made me say, that right now, in the case of this young man and so many other black young men and in so many other black causes, my LGBTQI counterparts are expected to jump behind and support these causes, even when the people at the forefront of these causes are anti-everything me. But because of the color of my skin, the sheer color of my skin and nothing else, I'm supposed to support these causes. And I do. And we do. Because I think we feel like, okay, if we give you guys support, in turn, you'll give us support. And it's never reciprocated. And I just wonder why. And here's the thing, because I know some of y'all gonna get in there and say it ain't right. The Bible said this. You can't force this gay shit on people. Y'all can't get mad. Don't nobody want to watch y'all faggot lives. And all the rest of that. I get it. I'm 34 years old. Trust me, I've heard it all. But the man that wrote that Facebook post just really had a point. And I'm just curious to know from my straight folks out there who have conversations in straight paces, who kick it with people who are anti-gay and everything gay. Why is it that overall, the overarching straight, heterosexual, whatever, person of color community can't see beyond that one hang up and see the rest of pose for what it is, or the rest of our lives for what they are? You know, that's really what I want to talk about. It would hurt me to my core if this show was not renewed. If their budget was cut and it came back season 2, some old low budget ass show. Because the stories are so important, y'all. And I urge you guys, the stories are just not important to gay people. I promise you, if you give the show a chance and watch, the story is a black story. It's a story that affects every family. And if you cannot connect with any of the gay characters, you can most certainly connect with the straight families, the straight characters, and how they are impacted by the gay people. For all the women out there who are talking about, you know, this why all black women got HIV, because the men sleeping with the punks and the trannies and coming back and giving it to us. If that is really your stance, you need to watch this. A, to gain evidence for your argument, or to get a better understanding, but there are still points of interest for you if you're not part of the community. And in closing, guys, you know, if you need talking points for urging your straight friends who have not watched this show why they should, here's a few. Number one, watch it for me, just to gain some sensitivity so you can get an understanding of what it is like to be a gay person in this country. I'm not asking you to be gay. I'm not asking you to accept gay. I'm not asking you to give up your Lord and Savior. Just watch an episode to get an understanding of what it is to spend one day in the life of someone like me, if you love me. Two, to gain an understanding. You know, straight people love to talk about, I don't understand this, I don't understand that, I just don't. Well, here's an opportunity for you to gain some understanding if you're willing to open your mind. Number three, put it on your bucket list. Do something adventurous for the sake of pushing yourself outside your comfort zone. You know how people bungee jump, or they go, you know, live the Amish life for 30 days just to do something different. Be adventurous, if for no other reason. Be adventurous. Number four, get a history on influences in today's modern pop culture, post, past, and present. Watch it to get a history and understanding of where a lot of this stuff comes from in popular culture and music. You would be surprised to figure out a lot of the stuff you're saying, doing, watching, experiencing, or being entertained by in your day-to-day life derived from the ballroom scene and gay culture, especially music and entertainment in the 80s, 90s, and today. Get an understanding of where it comes from. And lastly, just watch it because it's just the right thing to do. Just watch it because everybody in underserved communities need ratings so their stories can be told. If you're a woman and you're a woman of color, guess what? You're going to need this same support from the overall community when a show comes on that only speaks to you, people like you. So y'all, you know, if you're not watching Pose, I urge you to just watch one episode, the very first episode. And after giving it a chance, if you don't like it and you're not interested, then carry on with your life. For those of you guys who are watching it, I urge you to share my video and share it with a family member or a friend who you know has not watched it. Just beg them to watch one episode. Throw a party. Tell them you'll buy them a pizza. Come over to your house. Just put on one episode. Share it with your work friends. Talk about it at the water cooler. You know, watch it with your teenage kids who are old enough for the content. But it's a really good show, and I would hate to see a show like this just disappear because it's not getting, you know, the attention that it needs from the larger world. And y'all, you know, it's rare that I come to y'all with something like this. Y'all know how I felt about the show Underground. There was really nothing we could do. It was cut. It was axed for whatever reason. But I'm going to do everything humanly possible in my power to give this show as much exposure as we can to keep it on so I never have to feel the negative emotions that I felt when I found out that Underground would not return. So y'all share, like, be sure to like and subscribe to my channel in these videos. And I'll talk to y'all later, guys. Now Pose. Bye.